So we came back a couple of weeks ago, and we had 7 good hives. Well, I should say 6 good hives and one what I called a zombie hive originally, because it was an inch away from being a dead out, only a couple hundred bees. And at first I didn't even think they had a queen. I thought they were just goners, but they had a queen last time we checked, and a tiny bit of brood. Forecast had been really good, nice warm weather. So we chanced it and took a frame of brood from another hive and put it in there. And darned if the very next day they didn't change the forecast so that we had a couple of nights of freezing temperatures. That's not good because there was not enough bees in there really to cover the brood. So I'm going to go in and see if that was a waste. And also check up on the other hives. Well, let's take a look. Well, these girls are buzzing up a storm. That's classic orientation flights. We were just in there last week, no queen cells or anything. They're just hatching out, have been in the hive for a little bit. Now they're going to come out and take a look around and see where the hive is, and the next step is they get out in the field and forage. The hive I'm interested in today is that tiny one at the end though. Take a peek of these girls, hopefully without smoke, so I can see what's going on. And let's see if that was a real bad mistake last week getting the brood in. Well, we still have bees. That's always good. I'll try not to bounce them too much, since we're doing a smoke-free inspection. Yeah, well, some of this brood definitely died. But some of it looks like it did hatch out. This was the frame we put in. Yeah, when you see that, that's they're getting ready to rip the brood out. It got chilled. Now, my camera is dropping here. I'm going to try pulling it up a little bit. Wasn't a total loss. You can see the brood, the ones that they pulled out and they've dropped down on the screen down there. That's what happens. They chill, they die, and the bees do a little house cleaning and pull them out. So that's unfortunate. But there's still bees in here. I think a few of them did hatch out because it almost seems like the population did increase from the last time I looked in. So, adding brood, that works really great during the summer when the temperatures are really high. But fortunately, springtime doesn't guarantee you're going to have those kind of temperatures. So you take your chances, and we did, and it was a mixed bag. So we have a frame of honey. They have food, they have sugar on the top. We wish them well. So the plan here is to go right down the line and see if they're utilizing the upper supers yet. Pulling off the upper cover like I just did. Oh well, they're definitely eating at this sugar. Now these again were switched. Lots of pollen. And the brood was downstairs. What I'm hoping for is to see the queen moving up into what is now the deep on the top. There you go. There's brood at the very top. Now, I don't know whether this got laid. It's hard to say. Prior to swapping it, but in any case, that's good. So next week, we'll reverse these supers back so that the large is on the bottom and the small is on the top. They are eating up the sugar still on this one. Here, they look like they're in this region. So we'll pull out. There's some drone brood at the bottom. Oh yeah. Yep, brood, okay. So she is working her way up. Good. This one as well. I think mothers love to stay with the now here, I don't see as many bees upstairs. So I don't know if she's moved up. More pollen, more nectar. All right. It's just starting. A couple of little cells of brood at the bottom. Of course, I left my glasses off, so I can't see if there's eggs in there. But there we go. So we have worker brood now up in this super as well. So again, this one, next week we'll reverse the positions back again. As soon as she moves up to the deep, which is technically the brood chamber, we'll put the shallow on top, and hopefully they collect their resources to put in that one. Ants. Nasty little ants. Yes, bees aren't the only thing that likes the sugar. It attracts ants. What can you do? Again, our cluster of bees is over around here. So, yeah, we'll try to see if she's moved the laying up here. There's not a powerful cluster up here, so that's a sign that she is not. Another nothing frame. Brood. She has moved up as well. Over kind of on this side of the hive. That's it. Bang the frame across the side of the hive. That'll make them happy. Oh yeah. Okay. She's up here. So even this one, with its empty frames on the one end, she's moved up into it. So I always try to be, when I'm working these hives, slow but deliberate. When you're actually handling the bee frames, you want to be nice and slow, but you also don't want to, waste a lot of time. The longer the hive is open, the further off track they get. I'm not sure how we ended up leaving the pollen cake. I think this is the one, the pollen cake stuck to the bottom of the super when we were moving it and dropped off. So Ed, before he popped it together, just put the pollen cake on top. Better in there than not in there. Again, empty-ish, full of bees. So if we find brood, it's going to be over in this area here. Tons of pollen, and there towards the bottom, you can see some brood. Cells look a little fat, so that's probably drone brood. But Also, plenty of worker brood. Both sides. Okay, so again, moved up into the deep, which is where we want her. Again, we're using these global pollen patties from Canada, but they have 15% pollen in them as compared to just the ones that are, you know, not. And the bees just really go after those so much more vigorously than the pollen supplements, or the ones that really, you know, actually don't have any pollen in them. So we got a few things go on today, which kind of put me behind. So I'm here later in the day than I'd like. More ants. Bees. That was good. On this hive, we have empties on either side here. With my thumb. Where's my thumb? Over here. Okay. But in this little center section, I'm going to camera close. In this section here, we're seeing a lot of bees. So we'll assume these are empties. Pull one of these frames out. Give us room. Oh, look at that. There's the queen, right there. Well, we know she's upstairs. That's good. Okay. Always nice to see the queen. So I was first going to say, well, this one we won't swap next week because I'm not sure the queen's up there, but hey, we just saw her. She's up there. So all these guys get swapped. Next time we're in. There's 6 hives that seem to have good performing queens. And of course we have our very questionable hive. I actually think they're going to make it. But we have had a problem trying to find local queens. And the concern, and it's a big concern that I have, is since our Italian hives did not make it through the winter. Well, looking at this bee here, she looks awfully Italian to me. I'm just worried about the genetic stock, that we might actually have a lineage of maybe 2 queens on all of our hives. That's not good. So if there's any way to get queens into these hives, I hate to do mail order from the south. In all honesty, queens from the south are more likely to be bees that are of a tropical descent, and they're certainly used to the warmer climate down there. But to move them up to this area, the results aren't necessarily that good. So Digger wasn't here today. Did a bit of a solo job, kind of rushed in and out as much as possible just to ascertain things. Happy with what I see. Lots of stuff in bloom now. If the temperatures cooperate, this next week is forecast for every single day to be a high in the 80s. That's wonderful news. If they're going to switch over, it looks like, orientation flights have begun. There's a lot of brood getting ready to hatch out. We're right now at the 11th of April. So the Mayflowers and all that. We should be on schedule when the flows start to have pretty strong workforces in most of the hives. That's good news. When they start building up crazy to the point where I'm seeing queen cells hanging off, going to do some splits. And I think there's a good chance that we'll get back up to 10 to 15, somewhere in that region there, depending on what we find in the trees and what splits are strong enough back here. Such is the nature of beekeeping. You have a hard winter, or actually what is a normal winter in Pennsylvania. We've had some wonderfully warm winters the last few years, but this last one was a real winter, and it took out a lot of the hives that genetically were not prepared to deal with very cold weather. So what is left on the bright side, genetically is prepared to deal with cold weather. So we'll see how it goes. Until next week, remember to like and subscribe, and Goodbye from Buzz Park.